Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining the PolyU DBA seminar. Today we have our distinguished alumni to give a very good sharing on why they would like to study this DBA program. So you see we have the industry guru from different industries. We have our alumni coming from marketing industry, financial industry, development, and construction industry. Right now, I would like to hand over to Professor Cheung to give an introduction of the program. Professor Cheung.
Good afternoon, everybody. So let me quickly go through the program. The program rundown is like this. Start with introducing the PolyU DBA program. And then most of the time actually is sharing from our distinguished alumni, industry gurus from different industry to share their views that why they are interested in studying our DBA program, which actually is quite challenging and you'll see person. And then after that, then we will have a Q&A session. Okay, let's start with the program. So I'm Wilson Tong, the DBA program director and also professor of practice in finance, School of Accounting Finance. The first thing you'll see that actually our program is worked under the Faculty of Business. And under the Faculty of Business, we have 3 different departments in schools. And I belong to one of them. And then we have the Deputy Director, that is Professor Francis Cheung, who belongs to another department of Faculty of Business, that is the Department of Logistics and Maritime Studies. So our PolyU DBA actually started 25 years ago, and with the aim to educate senior executives to be scholar leaders who apply research findings to solve real-world management problems, and then aim to integrate academic study and management practice to form a significant part of students' business careers. And so why PolyU DBA? Later on, our distinguished alumni will share their view, and then I would say we basically have 3 specialty of our PolyU DBA program that I want to share with you. First of all, it is that we are pioneer of the DBA program. It is also the first accredited DBA and deal management programs in Asia, with more than, as I said, 25 years of history. And because of that, we have a strong and large alumni network, not just across Hong Kong, but also the mainland, because we have actually a sister program that work with Renmin University in Beijing, exactly the same, except that the students are all from the mainland, senior executive and entrepreneurs. So the network is not just in Hong Kong, but also in China. Right, so you will see that we have many graduates. So the DBA, so far we have close to 300 graduates, and existing students studying is close to 80. And then we have the DBA mainland is an early period of 35. And then we are currently working with Renmin University, as I said before. That's a doctor of management, that we have over 200 graduates. Then we totally will have over 500 graduates and alumni. So you can see that we have many distinguished graduates, including in mainland. And for information, actually, we have Hebei, Shenzhen, also our graduate in China. And we have China Mobile, previous CEO and chairman, Wu Jianzhou, also our alumnus. Other than we have a strong network, our second distinguished feature of the DBA program of PolyU is that this is run by a world-class group of scholars, and here is showing that in different different type of ranking that we rank very high in all over the world as well as in Asia. As you see, if you focus on the red colored wordings, you'll see that shipping logistics, in terms of research, we rank number 1. And then we have management marketing science, number 1 and number 5 in different ranking. And in overall business research, we rank 18. And then if you link the business economics, we rank 29. And then in the academic world, people typically look at a so-called UTD ranking, that is by University of Texas in Dallas, over top 100, we rank 59 all over the world. And as I said, our DBA program also accredited by 2 accrediting bodies all over the world. One is AACSB, that is from US. The other is ACRIS from Europe. They accredited the business programs all over the world. And that is another evidence of quality of our program. And of course, we talk about we have top scholars in programs. So what that lead to or make to the DBA program, which essentially what will they bring to you? Well, essentially you can do it that top scholars would give the program the state-of-the-art research, cutting-edge interdisciplinary research, availability of qualified supervisors, and I would think it actually is important that because of their supervision, that our students will get published in international top-tier journals, and that will get another very special mileage for our students because they are leaders in industry, but if they work through this program and their thesis will be published in international journals. And the next example actually is the thesis of our DBA chairman, Dr. Francis there. So, Charles, I'm sorry. Right. Actually, this is his thesis, work with the supervisor, and published in Habitat International. That is probably because Charles working in finance industry, specializing in real estate investment. That is so. Here is a list of the international journals in different areas that our DBA graduates publish their thesis into these journals. And the third special features of our PolyU DBA program is international collaborations. We are collaborating with 2 very outstanding world-level business execution programs. One is IMD. IMD is world-class business program in Switzerland. They have a very reputable executive training program in Switzerland every summer. And for this training program, typically would attract 300 to 400 international top executives all over the world. So once you enter in the PolyU DBA program, you have a chance in the summer to go to Switzerland to attend the executive program. And the other one is the London School of Economics have another world-class executive program in London. So again, if you join our PolyU DBA program, you have a chance to go to the London School of Economics to receive their top executive training program. Let me just quickly run through that. Our DBA program consists of 51 credits, consists of 1 compulsory subject, 2 core subjects, and 5 elective subjects. They constitute 24 credits. And then we have 2 very special DBA registration workshop. We will see photos coming soon. And then, of course, a major part is the DBA thesis that constitutes also 24 credits. It is a block teaching and weekend mode in the sense that all our subjects will be over on Saturday and Sunday. here, just give you a list of the subjects that you will come across. Essentially, you have subjects on the management marketing, you have subjects in economics, accounting, finance, and you have subjects in shipping logistics. Right, of course, I won't go to details, but this is the study part, and then you only need to focus on two photos. Right? One is the residential one, which is essentially an orientation program. When you enter into the program, you have the orientation, you know your fellow classes, you know our professors. Right? And then after 1.5 years, there's another photo at the top. That is our residential 2. That is for your thesis proposal. Right. If we work hard together, then we will come to happy ending. 3 years, that will be graduation. And you will see it on the photo. That is not just a DBA, but we have with our sister program in Beijing that is Doctor of Management. So this is a photo of all the graduates that year, the DBA will be management. Alright, so if you want to know more details, that will be the QR code.
I feel very excited to see so many participants interested in the program. I guess my role is to share with you my journey as the older batch of cohorts. You can tell from my gray hair. And I believe no two journeys will be identical, but I'm sure you should be able to distill something that is relevant to your case and perhaps to answer some of the questions you have in mind about the program. I believe we have a few cohorts representing different industries here today, and perhaps I will be representing the creative industry because a lot of my career was actually spent in the advertising and marketing industry. As mentioned by Charles, I was the second intake. So I joined the program back in 1997. At that time, I was the managing director of Ogilvy, which is one of the leading communication group in the world. And advertising is all about people. If you have happened to walk into an advertising agency, you won't be able to find any machines, any hardware, but a lot of people running around debating, not fighting, but having meetings, enjoying the discussions. So it's all about people, and that's how I developed to be very interested in knowledge transfer and training. So I thought, how could I offer more to my teammates? But in order to do that, I have to first equip myself. So I was wondering whether I should get another degree. Because at that time, I already got a master's degree. So I asked myself, should I go for a PhD then? But as you probably know, PhD is more catered for people who are interested to full-time pursuing a teaching or research career in the university. And at that time, I was still very interested in the corporate world. So I thought, maybe a PhD is not my cup of tea. And then so happened I was flying back on a journey back to Hong Kong, and I was reading a newspaper on the plane. And that was the first time I got to know the term DBA, Doctor of Business Administration. And at that time, PolyU was the first and the only university that offered DBA in Hong Kong. And I thought that was perfect for me, because it's a terminal degree, meaning that it's equivalent to a PhD, but it's for practitioners like myself. And as Professor Tom mentioned, one of the highlights of a DBA is to be able to do a thesis. And that was the most enjoyable, challenging, and also rewarding experience for me in the program. And I picked celebrity because I was in advertising, and we debated a lot about whether we should use this or that celebrity and why. So I took the opportunity to do a quasi-experiment on celebrity endorsement. And that helped me a lot in terms of my subsequent discussion with my customers, my clients. I graduated in the year 2000, and then since then I've been involved in the academic teaching in Hong Kong and China, and time flies. I've been teaching on a part-time basis for more than 20 years. And I counted the number of students, and there are already more than 10,000 MBA students attending my class. So it wasn't a surprise to me that I bumped into someone in a restaurant. I recognized the face, but probably not the name, but it was. I started to think about writing a book 7 years ago. And then I spent 3.5 years doing the research, and then 3.5 years of writing and interviewing. The motivation for me to do a book is to serve as a textbook for my course, and also to do some modest contribution in the domain of marketing and branding. Because all the books that we see in the bookshops are mainly from North America. And then I thought if I would be able to contribute a book from an Asian perspective that could enrich the domain of marketing for everyone in the world. And luckily, my book, Decoding Branding, got published globally this year in June. So that was another goal that I have set for myself. But I was very encouraged. I got a message from one of my clients. He said he read the book and he has ordered 100 copies for his staff to read about what is branding. So just to conclude, I'm not a particularly good investor, but I can assure you that the DBA program is probably the investment that I made in life that gave me the highest ROI, return on investment. Because it has opened so many doors. And if you ask me to compare an MBA and a DBA, is a DBA a senior version of MBA? And my answer to you is no, it's not. It's different. So if we see an MBA allows people to pursue the next step in their career, I would say the DBA allows us to pursue the next step in our life. Because if you look at me as a case, I was able to operate in a hybrid environment that I enjoy a lot, operating my own business and also teaching. Probably your question is, why PolyU DBA? Okay, I often use four reasons. The first reason is, I mentioned by Professor Tom, PolyU was the first and the original. And nothing can beat the original version, which leads to the second reason, that with this 20 plus years of history in Hong Kong and around the world, we've been refining the program. And I can tell you that I was actually the guinea pig. Alright, more than 20 years ago, and we offered so many inputs in terms of statistics, research methods. The third reason is the alumni network that Professor Tom mentioned. And finally, is value for money. Obviously, I'm not talking about the exact amount, and I'm talking about what you can take away. And in my case, I take away a lot that I count my blessing, that I feel so pleased that I made my choice, and now it's your choice.
The next one is Kelvin, also our senior fellow, right? You're also on the second or the third year cohort for the program.
That makes no difference.
Yeah. Okay. Very senior anyway. So now actually Kelvin is the chairman of the Financial Reporting Council. Of course, he's also the managing director of cost shipping board. Right? So we had years ago, Kelvin decided to take the DBA program. So also want Kelvin to share with us what makes him to make this decision.
Good afternoon, Professor Tom. So Association Chairman Charles, and also friends on the line. I'm not sure share with you my humble experience regarding my journey of taking the first time when it struck me that there was a DBA program from PolyU was back to 1996, while I was on the verge of changing my job from one company to Costco. I found it to be quite a challenge for me to strike a balance between working in a new environment, even though I was already an OM, while achieving the DBA program. So therefore, I chickened out. Otherwise, I could have maybe the first drop-off or the first graduate of the DBA program. And then it was until 2001. I should achieve something intellectual. I'm not trying to be philosophical, but then I look at the journey of the DBA program as a challenge for my intellectual ability to understand more about myself. Of course, obviously, my entire career has been in the capital market, financial market. So therefore, I have been extremely interested in looking into corporate governance, especially corporate governance in Asia, for Hong Kong, and in particular for family firms, and how family firms express themselves regarding corporate governance, or the lack of it comparing to the non-family firm. Because of that, therefore, I decided to apply for the DBA program in 2001 with a view to doing a thesis along the line of corporate governance so as to improve, hopefully, our environment in Hong Kong. While at the same time, I was one of the vice chairman of the Hong Kong Institute of Directors. So therefore, that allows me to associate my empirical experience with the research paper that I was prepared. Therefore, firstly, my first recollection or reflection regarding my DBA journey is that I thoroughly agree that a life unexamined is not worth living. And of course, I'm not asking you to commit suicide. You have not been leading an examined life. But then I guess probably our junior cohorts should be at their mid-30s to mid-40s. I assure you that I was thoroughly pleased that I've taken the journey. The journey allowed me to think loud. The journey allowed me to practice how to impose a discipline onto myself whenever I have a question. How to define a question, how to break it down into different constructs. Even though, on the one hand, it appears as if it is a research skill, then let me assure you that this is more than a research paper. I'm not good enough comparing to Professor Charles Lam and also Royce, my senior cohort, regarding publishing papers. But then the point is, it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't impose any restrictions for you to have publish research in order to demonstrate and practice what you have learned regarding how to identify a problem, how to break it down into a different construct, how to define it. So it benefits substantially because of that discipline. How I walk the talk. Whenever I'd like to establish a policy, for example, take my current public commitment as an example, as the chair of the Financial Reporting Council, we are facing many difficulties and challenges. We have to, and we have been, producing quite a number of research papers regarding the auditing industry, the accounting professions. And I'm also in the process of considering preparing reports on understanding the development and the evolution of the accounting profession in Hong Kong, without which we can't even set our policies for future. So therefore, my skill that I learned from my DBA program allowed me to roll out all those plans in a more efficient manner. So therefore, I urge you that the program will benefit you substantially, not only because you would like to have career advancement. If you define a DBA program as a proxy or as a tool for you to have career advancement, then I urge you to think even higher. DBA program as an academic or intellectual journey allows you to become more disciplined, allow you to be able to identify a problem and how to solve it. Therefore, if you are good, you are good in all aspects. My last comment, my last remark that I would like to share with all the potential students and junior cohorts of our DBA program is that, for neuroscientists, they have a very famous motto, which is actually the result of their research findings. For human brains, we have about 100 billion neurons. While we age, the neurons actually they will die. While we are actively pursuing new information, new things, if our brains are active enough, actually they grow. So therefore, use it or lose it.
So let me give the time to Yuen and see what makes you study the DBA program. Especially during that time, you were so busy doing a lot of investment and projects in China. And afterwards, what makes you, the DBA gives you the additional knowledge about?
years associated with Polytechnic. I joined the Technical College in August. I joined Harvard Technical College in 71, graduated in 74 at the Hong Kong Polytechnic. Then I come back later on in year 2000 2010 with my graduate studies. So the Polytechnic is to me a very special case. Well, to start with, the DBA journey for me, I like what Royce and Kelvin have said. I think everybody is different, but I do share a lot of points that Royce and Kelvin have said. It's actually a very kind of self-initiated motive. To me, it's the urge to continue learning, the urge to be pace what I've done in the first years in various positions. I've been working in Hong Kong for various projects, ownership scheme, the Mars Transit project, and Cyberport projects, and also 20 years in China since opening, doing different development projects. Over these years, I probably have made a lot of decisions which may have affected a lot of people, knowing me or unknowing me. So I think it's about time for me to be at pace to assess whether I've done the right thing or how's my performance, I'm doing the right thing, and how to move on, how to make better decisions. That's why it's this urge that maybe consider what I do, get on to do things better. When every time I travel to China, by the airport, I see the advertisement, scholar leader. And then I think about it, I start to think about it, and eventually enrolled in this program. It was I'm a bit concerned about whether I can qualify to it or not. Reason being that I'm a surveyor myself. All my work to do with construction, development, renovation, and all this, and nothing academic. But being in studying for a doctor degree, I'm not specialized in finance, so business and me, it's a kind of anxiety, but it's kind of uncertainty that in a way, it's kind of distract me from should I do it or not? But eventually, I might just get on with it. So, I started my DBA journey, and the DBA journey was actually mixed kind of emotion. It is joyful. Joyful being that it's almost like a child in a candy shop. When you start to look at the paper, when you start to discover people can look at things so differently. From what I'll use my perspective, it's joyful. I use the word joyful. It's so happy. You smile when you start to read the paper. And then you start to be the anxiety. Come on, when people are so good at doing things, it's so difficult. And can I do it? So it's the anxiety. And of course, when you spend time going through the paper, times and times again, you start to understand it. Then you're happy again. Because you understand. You start to understand. Sometimes, you become very depressed. And because you don't know how to get on with it. But again, spending more time, you find a way, then you get happy again. So it's a change of emotion all over, and that actually is the anxiety and all this depression will give you more energy to find out more. And one thing which is also very important is you are very happy. Happy being that you are together studying with your cohort. The cohort is a very special group of people because it's people who are not competing with you, who share the objective in life with you. You have each other to get on with what you're doing. So just imagine after 20 years in work, it is not an easy opportunity. Don't find it very often. So joining DBA actually gave me that opportunity to meet a lot of friends like Charles, which have become very good friends. Of course, they are never take effect, but never because of the fact that you are associated with people of the same kind of level at work. And that's about the DBA journey, but it's the lonely journey. It's a lonely journey because it's self-initiated. Nobody pushes you. You do it yourself. And well, because we are looking for something new, well, then you can of course ask the supervisor to help you. But when you got to do the creativity yourself, it's a lonely journey. And it is this loneliness that actually will help us to develop ourselves. Well, so I did enjoy the journey very much in that sense. Well, and when we talk to the outcome part, so that we don't talk outcome, drive. So what's the drive for me to get on with this difficult and enjoyable time? Peer pressure, of course, very important. And then vanity, very important. But one thing is very important. Is I can't admit failure. No matter how intense I am, then I have to get on with it and get it done. Well, and actually to me, I think that is a very important attitude for a leader, perseverance. Well, getting through the DBA is an exercise in perseverance. I think I'm more prepared to look at different perspectives when I make decisions. Because I don't understand my limitation. I understand there are other ways of looking at things, the same thing, which may give a different outcome. So that's why the whole experience to me will make me a base, and make me a base what I've done, and then have a much firmer kind of stand for my decisions. So I know
the last guru, alumnus to share is Francis, which is our youngest cohort, regardless of his
My DBA journey with PolyU is a very, I would say, interesting. Let me put it this way. I belong to the 2012 cohort, although I graduated in 2019. So practically it took me 7 years in terms of time spent. 2012 was the year when I just reached 60 in my life. And I was planning for my retirement. I like to plan a lot. In fact, I was planning for my second retirement, as Charles just mentioned. My first retirement was back in 1991, when I was just 39 years old. At that time, one of my good friends was a director in one of the biggest listed company in Hong Kong, retired in the early 1990s, and he is my good friend. He's also my bigger brother because I look upon him on a lot of things. After his retirement, what he did is he went to teach in different universities in China on pro bono basis. And that inspired me a lot and also excited me a lot because every time he wrote me a letter, sent me some postcards, described his experience meeting different students in different universities, in different provinces, apart from the landscape there, the culture there. It is just fascinating. So I think at that time, this is one of the things that I will fancy after my retirement. So I began planning for my retirement after I reached 60, because I told everyone that I intend to retire between the age of 60 and 65 if I can get rid of my company, which is Tysan Holdings, that Charles just mentioned. So another friend of mine alerts me of the DBA program of PolyU in about 2010 or 2011, and then I decided to have a look at it. The reason I wanted to do a DBA at that time is because I want to brush up my knowledge, because if I were to teach after my retirement, I don't want to teach old things. I want to put together my experience in business management together with new theories. However, things take a different turn. You just learned from Professor Tong that we have 8 torch courses. Now, this is very important and very interesting for me because those torch courses, part of it is compulsory. One course is compulsory, 3 of them are core, and the other 4 or 5 is elective, which means I can choose areas of study that interest me at that time. And frankly speaking, we all know that how the world has changed in the last 2 decades or 3 decades, especially with internet, intranet, AI, robotics, not to mention the advancement in medical technology and things like that. So, I was attracted by this 8 top courses. On top of that, it brushed up my skill in statistics, which is a very important tool in research, doing research. For me to choose PolyU DBA to further my studies, or to prepare myself for a teaching career after retirement. And subsequently, sold my company at the end of 2013 and practically delivered the company to Blackstone on 1st of April 2014. You know, I'm the latest graduate, although I'm 2012 core. I actually finished very quickly, within less than 18 months, all my 8 courses, and from which I earned a scholarship to study at the IMD Institute in Lausanne. I was able to get into their most famous course, family business. I was lucky enough to share experiences with 40 top executives from different countries like Serbia, Bosnia, France, Japan, and classmates have 3 generations. One family from Italy have 3 generations coming to attend the class at the same time, and another one from Japan is the 15th generation of the family business. I was fascinated during that period of time, and I learned a lot about family business at that time. It changed my course, because at that time I was still struggling. I should pass on my company to my children, my sons, or I should simply sell it and hang on to the money or retire. But this course in Lausanne, in 9D, clarified my thoughts a lot. And as a result of which, after I sold my company back in 2014, I started my family business, which is Longbow. Interestingly, DBA course didn't start my second career as like Professor Royce, but rather shaped my retirement planning. So this is some happy surprise for me. And as we all know, knowledge has been exploding in the last 20, 30 years. And I'm very happy to say that what I've learned in my DBA course, apart from knowing some of my very good friends, alumni, my same cohort, and become very good friends, I think it helped a lot in helping me to decide my retirement plan. And right now, I'm very happy that I have made the right choice. So I would suggest you to not just think of doing a DBA course to reach your goal. You may somehow find something more interesting and surprising for yourself, waiting for you just around the corner.